Hello, everybody. Hi, I'm Vinny. I'm from Brazil, and I have a consulting company here in Brazil, Troika, and I feel really, really privileged to be able to share a little bit of what I know with you. I don't have any slides. I'll be talking from the heart. It's only 10 minutes, and I know that this day is packed with information, a lot of academic insights. So I really chose for us to engage in a very informal conversation. I want to bring a little bit of my experience as an education manager and a teacher educator so that we can talk about how the English language classroom can impact the development of leadership in the future. I think that the first thing that I want to say is that I understand that we have a lack of leaders in the world today. I mean, true leaders who are willing to bring community, who are willing to develop a sense of citizenship, and who will cater to the diversity and the differences that we have. Leaders who are aware of the differences in social class and the different backgrounds of the people around us, and who want to create a better and safer environment. We are living in a very polarized world, and as diversity increases and we talk more about diversity and we become more aware of the power of diversity in the world, tolerance also seems to decrease. And we are living very violent times in which people are trying to segregate specific groups that on the one hand are having more space and more voice, but on the other hand are being set apart more and more. And I believe that in the ELT classroom, as maybe romantic as it may sound, we have the perfect forum to create the future leaders. We have in a communicative classroom, in a true communicative classroom that looks at language as something that goes beyond a list of verbs, that goes beyond a list of adjectives that we have to memorize. In a true communicative classroom that looks at the English language teacher as an educator and not just as a technician who's there to help students memorize the present perfect or 25 new phrasal verbs, but as a professional who's prepared and willing to really play a role in education and helping students become better versions of themselves, and not just people who can speak a language without the awareness of what communication truly means. If we consider the English language classroom as something like this, as something that is as powerful and as education oriented as it can be, we can develop the leaders of the future. Because in our classroom, if we look at English language teaching, and if we look at the ability to communicate as dimensions that need to foster critical thinking, autonomy, initiative, creativity, ethical behavior, all of the things that are necessary for a true leader to act as a leader, we can do all of these things in the classroom. A true curriculum needs to take into consideration all of these elements. We've been talking about the 21st century skills. We've been talking a lot about how students need to develop hypotheses, and we talk about how students have to think critically and how they need to be creative. But it's really, I believe it's really important as well that we look at our practice as something that is not just we're not just reproducing the buzzwords, but as something that is completely aligned with these objectives. And for something like this to happen, we need to have teachers who are thinking critically. We need to have teachers who are autonomous and who are independent in the classroom. Gabriel just mentioned a couple of talks ago about the power of culture and how a lot of new teachers come into the profession with very preconceived ideas about what culture is and how sometimes they might prevent other more open ways of thinking from happening because of bias, because they think that culture is something that has been fossilized in their minds. And cultural awareness is about flexibility. So first, our teachers need to become culturally aware. We need to empower our teachers to be able to understand in depth what culture really is and the role that culture plays in the classroom. But for us to do this, we need to give teachers space to act in a freer way in the classroom. Gradually, methods and courses are becoming more and more prescriptive. A lot of teacher training initiatives tell teachers exactly what to do, providing them with a set of techniques that they need to reproduce blindly without questioning, and trying to simplify what is complex. In many contexts, we see non-educators making decisions on behalf of educators. We see engineers, we see business people, we see a lot of different professions telling us educators what it is that we need to do. And the role of the teacher is gradually minimized. So on the one hand, we understand the power of culture. We understand that we need to go beyond linguistic competence, and we need to foster communicative competence so that students can have strategies to convey messages and to be aware of the variables that impact communicating effectively. But on the other hand, we are still facing in many situations a context that minimizes the role of the teacher and limits a lot what teachers can do. We need to give teachers the opportunity to truly foster communicative competence in the students by being able to fly, independently from a course book every now and then, from being empowered to understand critically what a certain method or a certain recipe for teaching entails, so that they can criticize it, and they're allowing them to criticize something that is prescriptive and trying to customize and adapt their practice to their students. Because we can only develop true leaders if our teachers have the opportunity to be leaders themselves. And a true leader needs to look at who is in front of them so that they can therefore act in a more customized, in a more personal, in a more humanistic way. We cannot expect to develop autonomy in our students if our teacher is not autonomous. We need to prepare teachers to understand true interaction and to talk about the different topics in class. Here in Brazil, we say that there are three things that one should never discuss. It is football, religion, and politics. So we are brought up to believe that these three topics are never to be discussed in a bar, at a table, and let alone in the classroom. So we grow up to become completely ignorant as to how we can talk in a civilized manner about football, politics, and religion. But these are pillars of any society. In our social construct, we talk about sports all the time. We have religious beliefs. We have politics in everything that we do, but we are not educated to talk about these things and disagree politely and build an understanding of the diverse perspectives that we have. If the classroom is not the place to do it, if the dinner table is not the place to do it, then are we to simply fight against each other when we disagree? True leaders, they have the ability to listen and understand each other. And if we can, from the very beginning of anyone's lives, if we can allow them to be themselves and to listen attentively and to politely agree, disagree, take into consideration evidence, be able to identify what is a simple assumption in the classroom, then as teachers, we are doing our job and helping students become the leaders of the future that we want them to be. It is only by allowing teachers the opportunity and the tools and the awareness and the skills to foster this kind of environment in class that we can really promote change. So once again, I'd like to thank very, very much Rob and Hendrik and everyone who is organizing this beautiful event. Thank you for allowing me to participate. And please donate, everyone. Let's show them that as teachers, we can have a very, very strong community that is critical, that is focused, that is determined, and that can indeed foster better leaderships in the world. So thank you very much, Rob. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.